Well, welcome to Eye on the Illini, folks. This was a fun one. Will Riley saves the day, 22 points in 32 minutes, 8 for 12 from the field, 3 for 4 from the three, including one from another zip code, 3 for 3 from the 3-point line, or excuse me, the free throw line, 4 rebounds, and what a game we saw from Will Riley tonight. Kedrick, you've been on the bandwagon, probably wanting him more playing time more than just about anybody in the media. How do you feel right now emotionally?
I'm relieved. I mean, I tell you what, there's just so many tangibles that we can discuss. I mean, I want to start with the headman in charge. Brad Underwood coached his ass off tonight. He was adamant. He was aggressive. This was the Brad Underwood that we've seen 4 or 5 years ago. I like what I saw with Coach Underwood tonight. Illinois, when they run their offense, I'm telling you, they're tough to beat when you make shots. And I know that sounds so generic and so basic, but when they're making shots the way they're making shots, guys, they're tough. I don't care who they're playing because you have to defend that. And they're defending really, really well. I'm proud of the guys. I'm proud of the way they came out because you know what? In the tournament, it's 0-0. And this was the team that everybody thought that you were going to get when you played Illinois. This is what you thought you were going to see. So, the turnovers with KJ, you know what? The other parts of his game. The kid, he played good defense tonight. He rebounded really, really well, Mike. I know you always give us the stats, and I'm not going to steal your thunder, But when this guy gets 9 rebounds, and he had 10 assists tonight. He almost had a triple double.
Marcus?
Yeah, it was a solid team win. To be honest, this is what I expected before the game even started. I expected the Illinois to win this game, so nothing in this game changed my outlook. I was very impressed on how the second half unfolded because they was able to stretch the lead out a little bit, and they was able to, even though they made a run, they was able to reestablish. And so we definitely gonna have to play a different type of game next game because Kentucky pros different challenges than what Xavier does. And so, but if we continue with the same effort, same fight, I think we can have another solid game come Sunday.
Perfect. So let's go through real quick for folks who don't have the stat sheet in front of them. Boswell, 15 points, 5 for 8 from the field, 3 for 4 from the three, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, and a hell of a defensive effort. Will Riley, 22 points, 8 for 12, 3 for 4 from the three, 3 for 3 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, a couple turnovers. Ivisic, 20 points, 7 for 15 from the field, 4 for 9 from the three, setting a record for most three-pointers in an NCAA game for a 7-footer. 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 10 boards, 1 assist, and a couple turnovers. Trey White, 7 points on 3 for 5 shooting, 1 for 3 from the three, 7 boards, 1 assist, and you had Yakuchonis with 16 points, 3 for 11 from the field, 1 for 6 from the three, but 9 for 9 as he got contact on the drive. So 9 for 9 at the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 10 assists, 6 turnovers. Gibbs Lawhorn was in for a minute, didn't get any stats. Rickhouse was 0 for 5 from the field, 0 for 4 from the three, 2 boards, and a turnover. And Merez Johnson only played 12 minutes. He had 6 points, 2 dunks, 2 for 2, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, and he had 2 fouls, no turnovers or assists. So it was really a team effort there. I think I really think that Boswell. I thought really the starters played quite well. And I think Will Riley, we got to see him turn into a star. And on what better stage can a college player come into his own than NCAA March Madness? I mean, I think he will be now forever remembered in Illini history for this game.
Oh, his performance was outstanding. I mean, Mike, I said it, and I do. I'm not coaching, but I want the credit for this. That kid is different. He is one of the few kids, and he's not the most athletic. He's just good at what he does. He's one of the few kids that can just go get you a basket. Every team needs a guy like that. They need a guy, and I've said this when you watch him on the AAU circuit, there were games when he just went on a heater. He put up and shot a 3 once. I just knew it was going in. And once he gets a couple to go in, his confidence level is different. And it's hard to explain once he gets on one of those heaters. I mean, he's doing himself a favor as far as the NBA draft is concerned. I know a lot of fans are concerned, and I would be concerned too. But, boy, if you could somehow convince this kid to come back next year, look out.
Yeah, I agree. He will play pretty solid, but as a former player, I'm gonna say he needs to do this a couple more times for him to get put in that lore of solid. It can't just be a one-time game. He got to do this a couple more times. But for his first time being in the NCAA tournament, that's a great start.
Yeah,
that a boy, Griff. I agree.
The thing is he's the epitome of the word scorer.
Yeah,
because he finds ways to get to the basket. He'll take the three. He just seems to get himself in position, and sometimes it just seems like when you're at the right place on the court at the right time, enough times, that just means you understand the game of basketball, doesn't it, Marcus?
Yes, the ball finds you. When you playing within yourself, it just finds you. Good things happen to you. Like the back cut on the baseline that Timmy gave him the ball. He was just in the right place where he needed to be. And that's just 5% luck, 95% preparation. And so, coaches like KP said, coach really is coaching his butt off this game, and it showed. Those guys was prepared. Those guys was in right positions, and he took advantage of them. But I love him better when he is not settling for jump shots.
Yes.
When he is getting his feet in the paint, he is using his length. He is shooting over the top of the smaller guards, and he can finish over the big guys in the paint because he has length. And then that opens up the rest of his game. I love it when he's attacking, and then he can step out and knock down the shots because then that rim is getting so much bigger. But, man, I was highly impressed.
Well, I want to also, we're all, giving Will Riley some love. I have to give me personally, Kylan Boswell, some credit because I'm going to tell you, Fremantle was great against Kansas, and so was Conwell. Kylan Boswell put those dudes in check tonight. He, during the press conference, the pregame press conference leading up to the game, he took that as a challenge. And I tell you, even though his offense he's playing really well on offense, I'm telling you right now, guys, his defense is great. And if he can stay out of foul trouble, you're going to have a hard time scoring over him. And the analogy that they used during the game was he's like a point guard who looks like a linebacker. He is his play can't go unnoticed. He struggled early on, but his play cannot go unnoticed offensively and defensively. I have to give that guy kudos. He is really, really putting his team on his back. And I would have loved to see Illinois play Duke when they're playing like this right now. Duke might have won, but it would have been a 40-something point loss. I can tell you that.
Well, if you add Fremantle and Conwell's numbers up tonight, they combined score for 17 points on 5 for 19 shooting. That is just two very talented players. And I think that was obviously a difference. Let's go through some of the team stats again. Some of the folks who just are maybe going from one place to another, they don't have the statistics in front of them. Xavier shot 40% from the field. Illinois was at 48%. From the three, Xavier ended up at 39%, and Illinois ended up at 40%. Free throw percentage, the Illini ended up 100% at 18 for 18. and Xavier ended up 74%, which was 14 for 19. Turnovers, Illinois had 14, more than you would like. We talked about trying to keep it under 10. Xavier had 5. Points off of turnovers, 13-6 advantage for Xavier. Rebounding is what partially saved the game for Illinois. Out-rebounding Xavier 45-25. And in terms of offensive rebounding, out-offensive rebounded them 10-5. Second chance points, the Illini had 10 and Xavier had 5. Points off the bench, 14-6 for Xavier. Points in the paint, 30 for Illinois and 26 for Xavier. Fast break points, Xavier had the lead of 10-2. Blocks, Illinois had 4, Xavier had 0. Steals, Xavier had 11, Illinois had 2. And assists, Illinois led that 14-9. The game was tied twice for a minute, and there were 5 lead changes in the game. And Xavier was in the lead for about 4 minutes and 6 seconds of the game, and Illinois was in the lead 34 minutes and 28 seconds. And the most important time, that's when the game ended. So an interesting game here, and I got to give up a couple things. I thought Trey White, again, 7 rebounds. He wasn't asked to do a ton on offense. I think it's pretty amazing when you can play. You're out there, you stay focused. He's still ended up 3 for 5. Didn't seem like he was jacking up stuff because he hasn't shot the ball, and again got those rebounds that were so important for the team.
I called it, Mike, on our message board. Trey White was an X factor for me. I mean, granted, he didn't score a lot of points, but I like his game right now. His confidence levels at all-time high. One of his shots tonight I felt bad for. He sat on the bench for about 5 or 6 minutes, and he got into the game, and he had to, chuck up a 3. But I just think his leadership, even though he didn't play on a winning team last year, when you're older, there's just something about that, which we've talked about before. He and Colin Boswell have been through the wars. But Griff made a comment that I really, really like. This is Will Riley's first game on the big stage. And for the people out there, if you didn't know this, Will Riley was interviewed earlier in the week about watching NCAA tournament games. He didn't do it. I mean, most of us sit here and you cover the games or you bleed orange and blue and you watch the games, and it's a different generation. These kids just don't do it as much. And so maybe he wasn't nervous and maybe he don't know how big the stage is. But I can tell you right now, we're talking about the Xavier game, but I'm really curious to see what the Kentucky fans are thinking, because they saw a team tonight when they're clicking on all cylinders. When they asked Miller, who do you guard? You have to pick your poison. And when they're playing like this, they're tough to beat.
So I can take this and, I was just thinking about my coach's hat. Like the last thing that you said, how would you guard Illinois? To me, I know how to guard Illinois, but I won't put that cat out there. I won't put that energy out there because I don't want nobody.
Oh, please don't.
Taking this information. But I'm going to flip it. I don't like these guys come in and they knock down some shots. But I think Illinois, for them to move further in the tournament, is going to be the little things. It's going to be guys coming in, getting 7 big rebounds. I just think deflections, loose balls, diving on the ground, that effort is contagious. I think that's what I can't pronounce his name. That's why I never said I can't pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try to butcher. I think he needs to get on the ground, get a little dirty a little bit, get his jersey pulled so he can get that fire, and I think that's going to help him pull out of this slump. But when those guys come into the game, I'm surprised Davis didn't make an appearance just to ruffle some feathers, just to be a gnat on the wall, just to agitate some guys, because it seems like they play a lot better when they have that type of fire up under them. And I'm waiting to see. I want to see who's going to be the pest against Kentucky, because they're going to need somebody that's going to murk up the game, because that's what Xavier tried to do. They wanted to speed it up and try to dirty up the game, and I'm pretty sure that's what Kentucky is going to try to do as well.
I don't know why people think so. I'm sorry.
Do you think Kentucky can play that type of hands defense the way Xavier did? I'm not certain that that's Kentucky's style. I thought Xavier reminded me of playing Purdue and Wisconsin, the way they use their hands.
I think just a different type of way. I think it don't have to be handsy like I'm surprised Illinois did not shoot a lot of free throws because they let the contact.
Yes,
we're not in a handshaking era anymore,
right?
And it was an extreme handshaking in that game, and I love that. I love the fact that the referees didn't call that, but I just think Kentucky can play a different style of basketball that can just be a little different. But again, I just think it's just a different type of challenge that Illinois is going to have to rise to the occasion for.
Kentucky is not a physical team. I've watched them play a number of games, and when I saw the bracket come out, one of the things, I'm not giving ESPN a plug here, but you can go back and watch games. You know, they're not physical. They like to get up and down the floor. And if Illinois, people don't understand. I don't know why some people think, you know, I heard the commentators say, well, that's not Illinois' game. Yes, it is. You watch Brad Underwood on the sideline. He wants that ball pushed up and down the court. He's always been a guy to do that because if you remember, let's score in 7 seconds. That's the guy who had that philosophy. So Illinois can play in multiple ways. They can play the low, you know, they can slow it down. They can get up and down the floor. And I will also say this, you know, Bisic did not shoot. He shot threes, but Griff, tonight he at least attempted to go into the post. I thought about you several times because he was really, really, you know, looking to be multi-talented and not just settle for threes. And when you can do that, it puts it tough on the center because you get them in foul trouble. Then they have to come out and guard you as well.
But he was doing it wrong. Like he was forcing out way too much energy when you have a 4-inch height advantage. It needs to be a cross screen. Like when you allow a post player just to post up and then you just get somebody pushing him in the back. No, you got to bring him to the ball and let him sit up low and just let him post right there on the block and then throw the ball because you don't want him dribbling 7 times. No, let him get on the opposite block, go across, set a cross screen, bring him to strong side, let him post a foot off the block so he can take 2 dribbles, jump up.
You know why they don't do that? And I agree with you. That's a post play. They're looking for him, Griff, to make a pass. I don't know why. I know. I agree. I agree with you, buddy. I'm telling you.
Like he can still pass it from that position, but what you're not doing is making him dribble the ball 7 times.
And wasting energy and wasting shots on the clock.
What was that?
I said, I agree with you because he's wasting time on the shot clock. Yeah. People are standing around. It's kind of like the old NBA where you pound it inside, and then you go up. That's not their offense. And when he typically does, if there's nobody cutting, and especially on the right side of the floor, he's going up with it. I mean, That's one scouting report that I've seen with him. But he was effective tonight. I mean, he really was. And I've always – Griff, I know you joined us late, but I've always told people I think he is the key to this season. Kasparis he may make the most money, but I think the most valuable player, the person that they can't lose, is him.
You think so?
He makes people better because here's why. He can shoot the 3 and the guy can pass the ball when he's out top. I mean, like, look at that baseline pass he gave to Will Riley. No offense to Moreno.
He had 2 passes. He had 2 big passes to Will. Kind of got Will started, there in the second half.
Yeah,
I think
he's a good passer.
I think you take Will Riley off that team, they struggle because they do not have another player who could produce like him.
Not when the chips are down. I tell you, that guy just scores.
He is a bucket. They don't have a.
There's
bucket.
Nobody else. You're right.
Like he is a bucket. Like he is KP.
And he's looking for. And I tell you what, I like the coaches tonight, guys. They let Will goes one-on-one all the time, but the coaches saw something in Xavier. If you look in the game, I've never seen them all season let KJ go to the left side of the floor the way they did and isolate him. They did it a few times with Will Riley, and it's so easy for Will because I forget who the coach was. Oh, it was Matt Painter from Purdue said he's a matchup nightmare because he can shoot over the top of everybody.
Yep, he got long arms. I think they said he had over a 7-foot wingspan. So he can go to the basket with his jumping ability. He can finish over the big guys, and then you put a little guard on him. He can just get it into the paint and shoot over the top of him with that little mid-range jump shot that he has.
Well, and the other thing that
it's a bucket.
The other thing that Will does, I think, that really messes with people is he uses a variance of speed, almost like a point guard does, where he slows up and then he speeds up and then he slows down. And boy, that got him 2 layups tonight, where I think, he almost lulled guys to sleep and then turned on the afterburners. And that's something that you have to have the speed to do it, but you also have to have the ability to vary your speed. Yeah. And I thought he really showed a lot. And I hate to say it, folks, but the NBA guys got to be sitting there going,
oh, both of the guards. I think both of the guards today, KJ and him, both had great showings. Even though at the end of the game he had a bunch of silly turnovers, it made his turnovers go up, get to that 6 or 7 number. But he played, for the most part of the game, he played under control. He
did well. He did. And if you think about it, I think he was 1 assist away from a triple-double. Here's what I thought tonight when I was watching the game, when you talk about the NBA. And I did hear one scout make the comment, the way he passes the basketball to people in the NBA, they make those shots. Illinois, we know, is not a great three-point shooting team because he threw a couple to Ibisevic he didn't make. He threw a couple to Trey White he didn't make. That's what the NBA scouts like about him, and he is big, and he is going to learn. Yeah, he's going to learn. At some point, he's going to learn how to take care of the basketball, in my personal opinion. But for right now, I know people get frustrated, and I'm one of those guys. Tonight's turnovers didn't seem to hurt as bad because they were always ahead. And then every time, Xavier had an answer, Illinois answered that answer or that call.
But, KP, every game gets a little bit different. Every game will get a little bit – it's a little bit more. And all I can say is that like I said, Illinois was supposed to win this game. We cannot have that many turnovers when we're playing against the better teams. You just can't.
Griffin, I've been preaching to the choir about his turnovers. I mean, I'm sure if he's heard me, he'll probably never speak to me again. I'm not a fan of his turnovers, buddy. Trust me.
So, but I know Coach don't play that. Coach has been noticing it, putting them on the bench a little bit more when he's been seeing a lot of those turnovers happening. But I just think, like this game, this is a Sweet 16, going to the Sweet 16. We can't have 15, 16 turnovers.
Right, no. I agree. Well, let's run through some of the comments from that people put in here, because I think there's some good comments here we can talk about. It. Big Ten's going to be 8-0 with 7 double-digit wins. Yeah, that's I guess the Big Ten must play a decent style of basketball, huh?
What is the SEC, guys? Somebody was giving me the rundown. They were 4-3 yesterday, but anybody out there who's in our comments who know what the SEC is right now, I would love to know. But it would have been nice if the Big Ten could have got maybe 2 more teams in, but a lot of it's matchups. I mean, the Big Ten looks good, but it's matchups, guys.
Did y'all hear the comment about the ACC? This will be the first time in like 50 years that the ACC is not sending 2 teams to the second weekend.
Well, they
second round.
They look like the that Western, the WAC or whatever that Gonzaga plays in.
Yeah,
where there's 2 teams, Gonzaga and St. Elmo's Fire.
Well, let's be careful because Duke can win it all. That's the ACC, and they have
that. Well, Duke can win it all. Gonzaga made it to title games. I'm just saying, there's not much out there. Let's go to another comment.
Cooper Flat.
I read this wrong. It says Illini guys what make Riley so great, and I thought to myself, "Oh, we do. We make him great. That's awesome." But no, unfortunately, Ron is saying that he has a killer 3-point, but he only shoots it as needed. Well, he certainly has gotten better at that as the year has went on, where he's not overly reliant on that.
Yep, he's attacking the paint. Because at the beginning, I remember one of the first times I got on the pod, we talked about that, and he was shooting it too much. He was just shooting it too much bailouts. He wasn't. I don't know if he was afraid to get into that paint, but he definitely reluctant to get in that paint. But it's definitely the second half of the season. I think his confidence is a lot better. He realizes that he has a lot of mismatches every night, and so get your face into the rim. Like, get your feet in the paint all day long.
Yeah.
And as they back off, shoot the three.
Mike, do you see Kenny's comment up there? Kenny
Which
McCoy.
one?
It's Kenny McCoy about KJ off the ball more. I want to comment on that.
All right, let me see where
KJ
you're
off the
at.
Because the reason why I want to comment on Kenny's comment is because last week there was at least 2 NBA scouts said that to me. Their comment was he has the ball so much in his hands to where they think he's tired, and those turnovers are due to the fact that he has the ball so much. Because if you think about it, Kylan Boswell could bring the ball down the court. Draven Gibbs-Longhorn could bring the ball down the court, and so can Will Riley. But
yeah,
if
I actually like
game,
Riley. Yep, with him because of that.
Just let him be a
and
finisher.
but they'll throw the ball back to him. They'll give it right back to him. So the reason that's why the NBA likes him, because that doesn't happen in the NBA. And I think personally, he's better sometimes when he doesn't have the ball, because if you get the ball to him on the wing, people think because he's not athletic, but he is quick, and there's a difference. It's not the same thing. I think he'll shoot the ball better if he doesn't have the ball in his hands as much. But so that's why I wanted Mike. I asked you to put that up there, because a lot of people think the offense in the NBA really do believe that he's a better player if he doesn't have the ball 99.9% of the time.
Sun Taurus 9 agrees with you guys.
Yep. He definitely has a high usage rate, meaning he feels like when he's in the game, that ball is in his hand. And like, I wouldn't mind seeing him off the ball a lot more, maybe doing a little bit more catch and shoot, or driving that ball to the rim instead of setting up the offense and doing all those good things. So I maybe like
out with a step back 3-pointer, which we talked about at halftime. Griff, you're 100% right, champ.
I definitely don't want to see that no more.
Now that one's a crazy. Now here we got one. The TOs are beautiful. You don't win turning games turning it over a lot. I think we've talked numerous times about turnovers being one of the factors that Illinois sometimes sinks them, because they haven't shot that well. Tonight it didn't sink them. So, but they do have to be better on the turnovers, especially against teams that don't try to turn you over. That's when you really can't turn the ball over.
So what I saw in this game, what I think Kentucky is going to do, man, I hate to say that because I don't want to get no information. So I'm not even going to repeat. I'm not even going to say what I was going to say. But yes, we do turn the ball over too much.
It's a glaring concern. And if they don't have a lead and down the stretch, because he's going to try and do too much, you can see that could potentially happen. Now, a lot of people, I mean, this is my opinion, and I mean, I'm just giving my, what do you think, I'm an expert or think I stink, whatever. I think Illinois looked really good tonight, and I think I tweeted, I can't remember. When you're in the Big Ten, Griffin, you know this. Every recruit that I've talked to and coaches will tell you the way they scout in the Big Ten is unbelievable. It's tough. They know every tendencies you have, whether it's drop step, if they know the percentages of you shooting on the left side of the floor versus the right side of the court. Reason I'm saying this, on a 2-day turnaround, nobody's going to be able to do that to Illinois. I mean, they knew KJ turned the ball over a little bit, but to scout that defense, you don't have time, because guess what? You're preparing for the game that's in front of you, and then you got one day to prep for it, and there's typically a walkthrough. And the way Illinois spreads that floor, that's why if they make threes, they're going to be tough to guard. And this is the team that Brad Underwood put together. I'm telling you, scouting is different. And this is why if they can continue to at least shoot half the way they did tonight, they'll be in every game that they play.
Just to piggyback, just to give you some more clarification on how they do it, you'd be surprised on how many games that the assistant coaches have watched of Illinois at this stage. Like, the information that has been passed around from league, from coaches, I'm pretty sure they've watched 6 or 7 games, and they probably know 6 or 7. They probably, like you were saying, you know exactly the tendencies. They probably know 6 or 7 plays that Illinois has ran 90% of the time.
Correct.
And they probably have went over that. Like, the coaches probably don't know it. The head coach probably don't know, but those assistant coaches, damn sure know.
Yeah,
they know. And so they're going to be sitting in. They're ready right now. They had predicted that this was going to happen when the brackets came out. As you probably had this assistant coach, I want you to look at the Illinois games. This assistant coach, I want you to look at this team. This assistant coach, I want you to look at this team. And so now when you get here, you're just filling in everybody else. You're just filling in everybody else. But again, coach picked this team for a reason, because you have to guard 5 players. And when Illinois is playing at their best, it is hard to guard 5 players. It is extremely hard to guard 5 players.
It
was not their best game. I will give this game a C- personally, because of the turnovers and all that good stuff. I'm a hard grader. Being an ex-player, I'm a hard grader.
Nothing wrong with that.
That shows me room for improvement. We got a little bit of room for improvement here.
Yeah, the one thing that I saw from this team that we haven't seen as much this season is that we've seen it a couple times, but Xavier made, I don't know, 3 different runs at him, maybe 4, and they got it to 6, and then Illinois got it to 6 or 8, and Illinois expanded it. That's something we have not seen as consistently as we would like from this team. That was something that, like particularly Io and Kofi were good at. That one of them would stop the rally coming against them. And I thought today, and it was many times Will Riley, but you had Avicic with his threes, KJ hit one, Boswell. I mean, they really did make it hard on Xavier every time they thought they were going to get caught up. Somebody stepped up and stopped the run.
Yeah, I got something to say about that. But this whole year, we haven't known who was going to, like when you talk about Kofi and when you talk about Io, those people was they had that stance. They was big time players. Yep. This year, all year, we was trying to figure out who that was. At the beginning, we thought it was KJ. At the beginning, we thought it was him. And then he went through his little slump. At the beginning, it was also Will Riley. But now Will Riley showed that he is a big shot maker, big shot taker. And when teams are making runs against us, it looks like we have a person, because sometimes you just can't run a play. You need to have a person get the ball and go make a basket, because you need to stop the bleeding. You just need 2 points, get to the free throw line, stop the bleeding, so we could get back into the game. And I think Will Riley showed that he could be that guy.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know the fans are happy, but also I know they're scared because of the fact that they could lose this kid. I mean, this kid is really special. I mean, and, there's been talk out there, and this is why you want to join our message board, because I have had a lot of conversations with people in his camp, and it's not a done deal that he's going to go to the NBA. There's a lot of things that's in Illinois' favor where he could come back, and I will just give you a tease. You bring a Will Riley back next year with the performance that he had tonight. Say he has a average performance, 10.7 rebounds against Kentucky. Next year, when they bring people back, Will Riley's going to be a preseason All-American. Preseason All-American, he puts on 10 or 15 pounds. Instead of being a 20, 23, 24 pick in the draft, he could potentially be a lottery pick because he'll only be 19 years old.
You think he'd be a preseason All-American?
Griff, you look at the team that Illinois potentially could come back, and here's why I'm saying this. I've seen prognosis where they're saying Illinois knows KJ's leaving. If Vicic is going to come back, more than likely, you get KJ, Will Riley to come back. You get Morez Johnson to come back, Boswell to come back. One, that they're a year older. Then you get kids in the transfer portal, and they have outstanding recruiting class. They would probably be the favorite in the Big Ten coming in next year. Then you got Riley, who's going to be the go-to guy.
Yeah, I'm a little worried because, again, he's got to put another game like this, but I'm worried that, the NBA GMs will like this. The other thing is if Tomislav hitting 3-pointers like this, now you're talking a 7-footer who can go outside and can hit the 3 and can pass the way he does. I'm hoping that they keep him, like a second round type of guy.
He is.
It makes more sense to come
Griff
back.
is right. I'm sorry, Mike. He is not a first round draft pick right now.
I agree with that totally.
When you look at what Griff just told us and what we can see ourselves, you're not going to be able to stand out there to just shoot threes in the NBA because at some point, and 7 foot, at some point, he has to be able to give them a decent, at least a threat in the low post. So I'm not worried about him coming back. And the reason I say that is because, like I was trying to explain, Griff, you look at Purdue. They were average this year. And who was the Big Ten Player of the Year? A guy that came in and they were good last year, and you bring a guy back that potentially could be the best team in the Big Ten, depending upon, like we mentioned, who they pick up. In the transfer portal, they're gonna have a really solid team next year. So, and Will Riley, this isn't just the NCAA tournament. He's done this a few times. I mean, this was when it matters, and this is when the big lights were on. But if you go back and look at his numbers, I mean, he's put up some big games against some really good teams, and I'm telling you, they're looking at him. And I don't know. I'm gonna tell you, I kind of struggle with the fact that why he's in the late 20s, because I know guys ahead of him. He's as good to me as Ace Bailey. What is the difference? Ace Bailey may be a little bit longer. Will Riley shoots it just as well. Once they put Griff, what's the difference? I mean, I'm going to ask you. You tell me, either one of you, what is the difference between Will Riley and Ace Bailey? Except for Ace Bailey came in with the high billings, because Will is scoring at an all-time high. At one point during the season, believe it or not, he was the leading scorer on the team coming off the bench. So I'm really curious to know what weaknesses in this game, because Ace Bailey is a thin kid. He's not a big kid either.
Okay, so I'm going to answer. I'm going to go back to Tim first, and then I'm going to get to your second. So the one thing I can say is that I can't think of the center's name that was at Purdue last year.
Zach
Edey. So when we talk about getting drafted, I would have never thought that Zach Edey will be playing how he is playing for the Memphis Grizzlies. That man got in there. He done increased his foot speed, his lateral movement. So all I say that to say this is that Tim can do the exact same thing. He is not as dominant as college player as Zach Edey was, but I think he is every bit capable of being able to increase his lateral speed, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that will stop him from being a first-round draft pick, if he can move more east to west, because he can shoot the ball. But the other point you said, what's the difference between Ace Bailey and Will Riley? The number one thing is confidence. Ace Bailey is a scorer of epic proportion, and I think he came in like that. And I think it's like that all the time. And I think the more and more we see Will Riley, the more and more his confidence is growing. And I think if he continues to play like this, I think he will turn into that offensive monster that we see that he can do it on an every night basis, because he's shown it in flashes and then it went away for a while, and hopefully it's back here to stay.
I think Ace also, just, I could be wrong, I just think he's got a little more quick twitch.
He does.
He does. Just, and that, while that doesn't make a big deal in college, it does in the NBA, because people don't understand that, like, the guy who's like the 13th man on the bench, in the NBA, is probably the best basketball player that any person outside of a college player has ever met.
Yeah.
And that guy can't even get playing time, right? He's sitting there going, I wish I could go in, like one game a week. And he's so good that he walks out there and dominates anybody that you could put him up against. So that quick twitch does mean something. And I was always, again, Illini fans didn't like this, but I was a huge Kofi fan. But you could tell by about the second year between Kofi and Zach Edey that Edey had passed Kofi by. In terms of just day in, day out. He could just do a little more than Kofi could. And look, Kofi's one of my favorite all-time Illini. I'm not knocking him at all. And he was a walking 2010, but he wasn't Zach Edey. And I know, like I said, I got to dive underneath the table here because the Illini fans are going to come after me. But I'm not real surprised by Zach being successful, because he started doing stuff last year that going out on people and doing better than I would have ever thought. And I was like, but it was just safer not to bring it up.
He was just he is a big 7-footer, like 7+ guy. And you don't see like Shaq, and then you go back to Shaq. Shaq was a freak of nature. Shaq
Yes.
was a freak of nature, how he could move his feet. But Zach Edey has come a long way, because when you a center, you got to think about, you got to close out on Stephen Curry. You got to close out on all these guards in the NBA now. Man, I'd be like, my ACLs can't take this. My ligaments can't take this. And you got to be solid, boy, because, man, a Hezo or a crossover can take you out the game real quick with these guards.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not a Zach Edey fan. He's in the NBA. I'm all for guys putting a couple dollars in their pocket. I'm not a Zach Edey fan. Griffin, I don't know how he got drafted, but it surprised me because all they talked about was in the NBA, you can't be a plotter, but he's effective. And I mean, you can see, I know Purdue misses him because they're struggling. And I mean, I'm telling you, they're not the same team with him, so without him. So, but going back just real quick, I guess I asked the question. Ace Bailey may be a little bit quicker, but I just think it's a polished scorer. I don't forget games. And I'm telling you, when Will Riley gets on a heater, he is as good as anybody in college basketball. And whether he comes back or not, I don't know. I know the coaches love to have him come back. I'll tell you this: his family they're not stupid. They're not begging for money, and they know that he needs to get a little bit stronger. And that's the one advantage Illinois has in their pocket, or feather in their hat, is that they can sell him on the fact that he gets stronger, the possibilities for him. Because, Griff, you look at him right now, like I said to you, imagine another year, and then he's going to be the focal point of the offense, because right now it's KJ. And he can play point guard as well, which we've seen him. He's not a distributor. He can't play point guard. He can bring the ball up the court. I'll put it that way, because there's a difference. Being a point guard and just bringing the ball up the court is not the same thing, but that's nice to have a 6'8" guy that can do that.
Yeah, and we're hearing.
Can I say
something? One thing real quick, Marcus, for people who aren't following. We're hearing 4:15 Central looks official for Illinois versus Kentucky on Sunday. So that should be it just went up on ESPN as well. We were I put it in the notes. We thought we were 4:15 Central, but now we know. So it's going to be a barn burner, because last time Kentucky and Illinois played in the NCAA, us old people remember that really well.
What year was that?
1984. Ooh. And that was when Dickie Beal had the travel that wasn't called.
Griff, Illinois got cheated. You know how your year you got cheated? Yes.
They got cheated almost as bad as you did, because they were playing to go to the Final Four on Kentucky's home floor.
Court.
Ooh.
So they were playing in Rupp Arena. Illinois had them beat. Dickie Beal was trapped, did a massive travel. They didn't call it. They score, and Kentucky wins. That's in the last minute of the game. Kentucky ends up winning. And Illinois missed. Lou Henson, unfortunately, was star-crossed because he missed that opportunity to go to the Final Four. Then you had, Lowell Hamilton tweaking the knee and Michigan beating them, and they would have won the title that year. And then you had the bullshit, sanctions for, for quote cheating with Dion, and because Bruce Pearl spliced a tape, and then Bobby Knight and Digger Phelps walked it around the old Indianapolis headquarters, making sure that Lou Henson got in trouble because Bobby couldn't handle getting his ass kicked by Lou Henson every year. So,
yeah, that was rough. And if anybody, those people who are listening, if you go on YouTube, if you care, I mean, we got to remember it's 1984. That footage of that traveling call, it is on there. I mean,
I'm gonna look that game up when we get off here.
There's a reason why Illinois fans are paranoid, and sometimes you can be paranoid, and there's other times you're paranoid and it's true. So Illinois fans, until the Illini break through, there's a lot of reasons to be paranoid. Like when you guys got called for 568 fouls, that had never happened before.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there like, wow, we should have beat that Arizona team. But because he announced his wife is dying, they decide that, we can't let that team lose. Then you get James Augustine somehow had 4.5 fouls before the game started. And you get these different incidents. And, as an Illinois fan, you're like, oh, geez.
You expect it.
We got to put ourselves there more, because I think it's a respect thing. It's like we don't get the calls that North Carolina gets, that Duke gets, that Kansas gets.
I thought tonight, though, I thought tonight, though, I didn't agree with a lot of I thought they let Xavier do a lot of hands. I still thought that during the key moments, we didn't have one of those fouls that we were all like, what the hell is that on Illinois that, that kind of could have pivoted the game. And I'm going to ask you guys, I know there was a lot of things that happened, but I think Will Riley's block early in the second half, when things were when they were making a run and he just came out of nowhere for that block, I thought that was one of the two key plays, and then the other was his 3-pointer, at the end of the shot clock. But I really think Will Riley was the player of the game, and again, you got to create legends, and he's taken that one step forward to be one of those guys that, when you get into the tournament, turns into a killer.
My play of the game was not the 3-pointer at the end of the shot clock. The block shot was huge. Was the 3-pointer right in front of the bench to Will Riley hit? That was a huge momentum changer, because if he doesn't make that shot, the league gets under 5 for the first time. I think that was the shot of the game. Yes, the 3-pointer that he made at the top of the key, it looked good, and you're going to see it on Big Ten Network and all the channels tonight. I'll probably be up watching till 3 o'clock in the morning, watching some of the highlights, because they're fun to watch when when the team you cover wins.
Yes, so I will agree. So I will say two things. Going into halftime, shot clock going down, to hit that shot, because I think it was a 2-point lead at that time. Xavier had stormed back and hit that, because I think that game, if we don't hit that shot, they got all the momentum. They are down to coming out of halftime. But my player of the game, honestly, going a totally different way, is Boswell. Boswell cut the head off the Snakes.
Yeah, he did.
Took on the challenge of guarding both of those guys at different times of the game, and he's putting that on his back. He's a man. I saw his dad when I was in Champaign last, and I told him I love his son because he got that dog in him. And to be able to take on that challenge and not afraid of it in the biggest moments, you can't. What can you say about that? I just love, and it's not even about his offense. It's not even about his offense. It's the fact that he's wanting to guard the best players.
But his defense is making his offense better. I mean, he looks confident, and the way that Illinois runs their offense, he's going to score points. I'm sorry, the threes are like ice cream with a cherry on top. When he makes those. But right now, the way he defends and he gets out, he takes pride in. And I don't know how the Big Ten could not say this guy was not one of the top 2 or 3 best defenders in the conference. But again, I've said it before. It's all about steals and block shots. Sorry, Mike.
All right, we got Sturdy coming in from live. Brad, let's just get through your thoughts on the game, because it was pretty darn incredible.
Yeah, really fun game. I thought, they're Xavier makes some tough shots. They are really hard to guard. I think this is an Illinois team who saw that much better defense than they have, in the past. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, the biggest key for them is that they have, when they have bite and when they're guarding, they are much more difficult. And I think that, some of us when they make shots, they play better defense, but also even from the start when they missed a couple shots, you could see they were locked in. And then, you get in the second half and you got Will Riley just, he went nuts. And, KJ's 1 rebound shy of a triple-double. I mean, but I thought, I think Ked was talking about this before. Kylan Boswell was just fantastic defensively. I mean, this dude just did such a great job. And then the other thing is, he hits some open shots as well. And, Ivasic, his spacing just really is a game changer. And they got great minutes out of Morez Johnson. So, I thought all 6 guys, even Trey White, he played 25 minutes, 26 minutes, but I thought he was very good in those minutes. There was a couple of, you're always going to have a couple plays. You're like, I wish I hadn't done that. But overall, that's a really good performance against a Xavier team that's really old and a team that can really just shoot the heck out of the ball. And they did a great job in the second half of keeping them from getting looks from 3. They made it really hard on them for their shooters to get looks and force them to, shoot 2s, and it definitely changed the game.
Agree.
So, any thoughts? Then we talked about Will Riley. What was that like watching him just literally do big shot, big play after big play in that second half?
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, the thing is though, when he took those shots, I was sitting courtside just across from the Illinois bench, and I thought he was just every time he shot it, it was like it was going in. I mean, I knew it was going in. I mean, it came off his hand and was going in, and he knew it too. So he just got in the zone, and when a guy gets in the zone like that, sometimes you just can't stop him. But he has really what they Underwood said post game. They call him slippery, and he really is because he's not like blow by quickness. He's not got crazy hops or anything like that. He just is good and he has a great feel. They run those high ball screens, and then when you have a guy like Ivasic who is pick and pop, Will gets there, and that guy, the minute he hesitates, that guy jumps out to that 5-man, and he's got the angle, and he's just going right to the rim. And what do you have? I think he had 2 dunks that counted, and one they called it out of bounds on, and it seemed like what do you have, about 5 dunks all year? And then tonight here he is, NCAA tournament. He's just getting to the rim, and it was really impressive against. This game was really physical. Talked to Brad a little bit about that after the game, Underwood, and we talked about it. It's like remember at the beginning of the year they played an Ole Miss team that was really physical. Now you see a team here, and it shows the maturation, the development, and it's not just physical. Like they're stronger, they've worked out, they've gotten bigger, but it's also mental and learning how to do it. I think that's huge. Just learning how to play with against the contact and through the contact, and I think that's just one of the biggest things that we probably don't talk about enough is the development they've made in that area.
And I think playing in the conference that we play in helps us a lot. Playing in that Big Ten conference, you're going up against that physicality, and it's getting you mentally stronger. So if you do run up against the biggest team and a Big East team in the tournament, you're prepared for it because the one thing I've known about the Big East when I was playing is that they're a physical brand of basketball similar to the Big Ten. And you get all of that playing against Michigan State, playing against all of those teams. It mentally prepares you because you're going to go through a war. Big East going to bring it. And so I think Illinois had a lot of practice, a lot of physical preparation that they can lean in to playing against Michigan State when you're going to go up against a physical Big East team.
Yeah, Big Ten goes 8-0 in the first round and set a record. That's obviously a conference that's probably hasn't been hyped up as much as they should have been. Obviously, a really good league.
2 more.
Brad, do you know what the SEC is right now? Do you have any idea?
I don't. I haven't been able to. I haven't really checked, to be honest. They've lost. I know they've lost at least 5 games or something. So
it was 3 yesterday. Okay, I was just curious if you knew top of your head.
No, not without looking. But yeah, it's been impressive what the Big Ten's done, and not many of these games. The Michigan game, Michigan had a big lead, and then UC San Diego came down. It was close to the end, but most of these games really weren't that close. I mean, Illinois wins by double figures. I thought they were one of those wide open threes missed when they were up 17 twice. They missed wide open threes from really blowing the doors off, and so really impressive performance. I mean, they got some. This is a team that really has an opportunity on Sunday, and I'll tell you this: they do like the matchup against Kentucky. They feel like Kentucky is a team that they can compete with. They know they're very athletic, but they feel like they have an opportunity to do some things defensively and offensively to them, where they can have a chance to win. You still got to make shots and you still got to do all the little things, but they feel like they have for a 3 seed. I think they got a team that they feel like they can match up with about as well as any other 3 seed.
Yep, I agree.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yep.
Any other comments, Brad? I know you're trying to go from getting to from the stadium to the hotel. Anything else?
Actually, I'm still in the arena. I haven't even got out of the arena yet. Just left the locker room, and so I'm in the arena. No, I would say, talking to the players after the game, I mean, that's one thing that they were really excited. Will Riley said it was more exciting than he ever imagined it was going to be. I don't know if Tommy gets very excited very often, but he was pretty fired up. But Kylan Boswell, again, talking about his leadership and the things that he did to really help this team as they battled through it. He mentioned, when they lost to Duke, they came out and went on a 4-game win streak. Started playing a lot better, and now they lose to Maryland, and this is game 1. If you go on a 4-game win streak now, you're playing in San Antonio in a couple weeks. So now that's just about every game's a new matchup. Every game's a new. Brad talked about this post game. Every game's a different opponent and a different setting. So you have to figure out a way to they're going to have to tomorrow. They're going to scout Kentucky. I will tell you that I got to see a little bit of their scouting on Kentucky, and they're going to have a good scout, good game plan for them, and and now it's just a matter of they got to execute it though, and if you get an open shot, you got to knock it down, and you get an opportunity to make a play defensively. I mean, you got to make a play, and I thought you saw that at the end of the game. It was Riley's 3, but then KJ backs it up right there with that pick 2, and those are just game changing plays. It went from 8 to 13 in no time at all, and that's what you have to do in March, because these teams aren't going away. I mean, they're playing for their lives, and they know they're playing for their lives. So you got to bring it for 40 minutes, and you're going to have ups and downs. And I know fans, you watch them they kind of lose their minds when why are they coming back? Well, because their team wants to win too. They forget that sometimes, So yeah, it's all part of the process. But yeah, they're in a good place. They just they just put by the way, they just put the new stickers that say second round on the floor, so that's good. So I guess that means that they're ready to we're ready to roll for Sunday.
No, that's awesome, and just for people that Chris Short put in there, Big Ten's 8-0, the WCC is 2-0, Big 12 is 6-1, with Kansas being the only team that face flopped. Big East is 4-2, SEC 8-6, Mountain West 2-2, and ACC 2-3.
Yep.
Yeah, there's only one ACC team left, right?
Yeah.
Just Duke.
Yep.
Did what was who won the Oklahoma UConn game?
UConn.
UConn did. I didn't see the end of that one. I was a little busy, but no. So
yeah,
no, it's
Pierce
good.
played well.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he looked good. See you guys.
That's
Deion Thomas walking by here.
So
Scott Beatty too, and Brian Barnhart. Don't want to leave anybody out here. So there you go.
Tell Brian, Dion, and Scott hi. We're big fans.
that's right.
I'm gonna text D and tell him, hey man, where my hotel room at so I can get down there on Sunday.
Yeah, no, it's just that's a really, really good. Good Xavier team. They run great stuff offensively. I'm really impressed with what they do offensively and how they shoot the ball. And so Illinois had to really step up for this one.
What's the odds of Sean Miller finding other employment, Brad? Is there any word on that?
He literally just walked by as I was talking about Xavier. So, I would say he's on his way to Austin, Texas. No, I don't know that. But it does sound that way. There's a lot of buzz about that happening, and I think he would be a fantastic hire for them if they were.
We have panicky people, Brad, on who have been messaging that the Texas boards are talking all about Underwood. So I just wanted to make you aware.
Well, that's fine. But it's funny because I think after the Maryland game, everybody wanted him to go to Texas. So now he's okay. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Oh, it's game to game. It's game to game. Where's Underwood originally from?
Kansas.
Yeah.
But his coaching career started in Illinois, right?
Nope. His big coaching career, he was in junior college.
Illinois.
He was in junior college, and then he eventually went to got his big start at Stephen F. Austin.
I think his
Brad
original
was at
coaching.
Western first before Stephen F.
He was at Western Illinois.
Western.
Western. Yeah.
I think his original coaching, his first coaching job was teaching kids how to rock fight in a parking lot of Pizza Hut, and that led
everybody
to
has a
going
role.
into basketball.
Yep.
Yeah, no, he's been all over. He was, obviously assistant at Kansas State when they had, with Michael Beasley, and then he's been at JUCO level, and you think of Brad Underwood was one of those guys. What a grinder! When you think about a guy who years ago, and he loves to tell the story how he had to decide whether he was going to, buy food or put gas in his car so he could drive to practice at the JUCO level. and his AD had to, basically give him gas money to get to practice. I mean, and now, now he's doing a little bit better financially than he was back then. So yeah, it just shows you it's a grind, and it's one of those things. So he's a guy who's really put in the time.
Perfect. All right, let's go around the horn. We're hitting the hour mark, and I know that we tend to fatigue our fans and ourselves at this point, but let's go around the horn. We'll let Ked, what are your closing thoughts here? I want to wait till you start coughing before I was going to ask you something. But what are your closing thoughts here after this opening win in the 2025 NCAA tournament for the Illini?
I was impressed. I was worried, like everyone else probably was. It's win or survive at this point. No matter who you play, everybody in the tournament is good. That's why they're in the NCAA tournament. I don't want to harp on the past because the past is the past. However, I would really like to see Illinois follow up this shooting performance against Kentucky on Sunday. They're going to need that. When they played against Iowa in the Big Ten tournament, they shot well. Then when they played Maryland, they peed down their pants. I don't want to see that. The keys to beating Kentucky and everybody else: spread the floor, cut, make shots, get the ball to guys who can score. Somebody has to be special and different, And so, Emily, I'm kind of answering your questions for you, Emily Powell. Illinois has to make shots. And I know that is the most generic answer there is. But when they're making shots and making free throws, and they're going to defend because everybody's playing hard, they can beat anybody in the country. And I know, which I just put on Twitter, the spread is 1.5. That means it's a pick'em game, basically. So Illinois needs to stay out of foul trouble. If we can limit KJ's turnovers to 3, I'll accept 3. They can beat Kentucky.
Marcus?
I will give more of an X and O breakdown. The 3 keys, okay, we got to eliminate ball penetration. We cannot let Kentucky, they are long, they're athletic. We cannot let them sit in the front of the rim. We got to get out. I don't think, from what I saw a couple of times, they're not a great three-point shooting team. But if we can eliminate ball penetration, then we're going to be contesting a lot of those step-back threes, those 4-step threes that they're going to be shooting up. And then the last thing is continue to dominate on the glass. Eliminate ball penetration, contest open threes, dominate the glass. I think if we do those 3 things, because I think Kentucky is going to try to attack us off the dribble, because I think they're going to be looking for KJ. They're going to be looking at Tim. They're going to be trying to get those switches all the time on their guards, and they're going to be looking to attack them north and south. Let's keep them off the guards. Let's keep them out of the paint. Close out on the 3-point shooting, and let's continue to gain rebound like we're doing. I think we will be solid for the game.
And Mr. Sturdy, we're going to give you the final expert word.
I don't know about that. I'll tell you what I think, though. No, I do think one of the big keys, you mentioned rebounding. Kentucky had 0 offensive rebounds in the first half today against Troy. So this is a team that Illinois has to do a good job on the boards against. I think they can. They're athletic, and they've got some size, but they're not quite as physical maybe up front. So they can attack that. I think the other thing is, you mentioned, I think they have to take care of the basketball. You can't have as many turnovers. And I will say tonight, I'm going to defend KJ a little bit. I thought he got raked on about 3 of those turnovers where he just got grabbed on the arm. And so it's tough in that regard, but it's a physical game. So I think they got to not turn the ball over. And, Kid mentioned making shots. I think on the defensive end, I think the biggest thing is they're going to have to get back in transition in this one. I thought tonight, if there was one problem they had defensively, it was transition defense. They got to the rim way too easy in transition, and Kentucky's going to get to the rim. Odaga Owe is going to head ram and get to that basket in transition. But they have Kobe Brea, who's going to knock down threes. He's a tremendous shooter. If you let him get transition threes, it's going to be a long night. So those would be my 3 keys right now. I'll go down home and watch some film and break it down tomorrow and see what's going on before I preview. But that'd be my immediate thoughts.
Perfect. So we're going to go to a couple of commercials here, and then we will wrap things up for the night.
This is the run my own business dream. This is the colleges paid for dream. This is the retire early dream. This is Busey. where your dreams and possibilities become moments through trusted guidance and expertise, through lifelong relationships. Because we're here to help you achieve the life you've always envisioned.
Wait, there's more. Check your calendars. It's March Madness time again, and every game is a chance to cash in. From the first tip-off to the Final Four, every night promises high-stakes matchups, wild finishes, and big-time betting opportunities. Better yet, Bet and Get from MyBookie is back to sweeten the deal. Place a cash bet on March Madness and get a surprise reward. Whether it's free bets, cash back, bonus chips, you never know what's coming next. Whether it's a number one seed steamrolling or an underdog shocking the world, smart bettors know the real money is made one game at a time. Listen up, sign up now with code MM50, and you can boost your bankroll with a deposit bonus designed to make the most of your money. If you don't want a bonus, that's okay too. Just make sure you let them know that we sent you. Bet on every game, anytime, from anywhere, only with MyBookie. All right,
Well, look
folks.
at this. Oh, y'all can't see it? Oh, y'all can't.
Not too close. Yo, there we are. All right, we see a
There it
52 there.
Yes, a little kid that I know. Mom went to U of I with us. Her son has a 52 Illini Griffin jersey.
That's
Yes,
what's up.
the orange one. With my
I believe
number
Ric
and
Flair
name on it.
called that styling and profiling.
Yes,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna roll here. I'm gonna roll here, and we're gonna ask you guys now. This is not something we're gonna hold you to, but early predictions for the Illinois Kentucky game. Ked, we'll go Ked, Marcus, Brad, and then we will call it a podcast.
Illinois 98, Kentucky 95.
Wow.
Ooh.
They're going to score. Griff, I've watched them play. Illinois is going to put some points up. Kentucky doesn't defend. And I'm telling you, Brad just mentioned it. They shoot that damn three ball in transition. If they're making shots, Illinois is going to score too. Kentucky can't stop anybody.
I was going to say 85-80 Illinois.
And Sturdy, if you want to unmute yourself, give us if you have a prediction. I'm putting Brad in a bad place because he hasn't had a chance to do his homework yet.
So no, I'm just worried I'm gonna get mugged here. No, I would say I'm gonna go with 85 to I Marcus said 85-80, so I better change. I'll go 86-81. I think Illinois wins this one. I think it's a high scoring game. I agree with Ked. It's gonna be a little bit higher scoring. I don't know if it quite gets up 98-95 because unless it goes into like double overtime or something, that would be kind of fun. But I got to get home after that game, so Illinois can just win in regulation, and I'd be happy.
Yeah, I'm going to say Illinois wins this one 81-78. So we're all in unison with that, folks. We are
By
going
the way,
to.
Ken Palm has Kentucky winning 85-84.
Okay,
So it's literally a pick'em game.
Yep.
So pretty cool.
That is perfect. So, folks, we will be back. We'll do the halftime show and the post-game show just like this on Sunday. So please do me a favor. If you see the tweets out there, please share them on social media so that other Illinois fans can join us and have some fun. We look forward to hearing from you folks again on Sunday. Until then, go Illini.